Okay. The next thing, in which way they have suppressed us, it is also given here. First of all, what? Suppression. In the last class we mentioned. Exploitation. Then what? Oppression. Humiliation. Slavery. Resistance. In which way they are doing? Two ways they have applied. Aggressive narration. I mean, so what? They have written our history and they don't allow us to write our own history, but they say that yes, we'll do it in behalf of you. It's a what? In the aggressive narration, some words they are using. Through the words, they're trying to destroy us. Next one, what? Rape as a metaphor of colonization. As we discussed in details in the last class, I am not discussing it today. So, post-colonialism. What is post-colonialism? In many works of literature, especially those coming out of Africa, the Middle East, and the Indias and subcontinent, we met characters who are struggling with their identities. So which literature, which theories? Those which are written for what? Struggling with their identities in the wake of colonization. How they are suppressing us, how they are humiliating us, how they are making us slave. Whenever we are struggling to establish our own identity, that is called what? Postcolonialism, or establishment of colonies in another nation. For example, the British has a colonial presence in India from 1700s until the India gained its independence in 1947. The term is called completely of what? Completely colonial period, colonial era. But after that, whenever you have written something else to establish your own identity, that is called a post-colonialism. Then its historical background or period, post-colonialism. 1700s, yes. Whenever they come here to do their business, you must count it also. Pre-colonial terms is also okay. Post-colonialism, the historical period or state of affairs representing the aftermath of the Western colonialism. So, it should be started from where? When the Western colonialism. Now, one thing remember that. We know that once upon Ottomans, they have also conquered some other countries. They have got, if you enjoyed Sultan Suleiman, you have seen that he conquered a number of countries until he reaches where? The France or Spain. He tried to conquer each and every country. More interestingly, he never destroyed their history. Rather, he said that you will give me just tax. And you can govern your own country. And you can nourish your own culture, language, education, everything. I will not interfere there. That's why that period is not considered as a period of colonialism, which is considered Western colonialism. Got my point? The difference between them. And another example, so you can say that, as you know that before British colony, the undivided India was ruled by Mughal, and Mughal was not a Bangladeshi or Indian. They come from where? Some other countries, especially the Arab countries. But what is their specialty? Whenever they came here, they never thought to what? Go away. They never tried to import their own history, culture. They never tried to pass of what? Export the currency from here to there. They come here permanently and they try to live here. Got married Indians and they loved it as their own country. But the British people, what they did? Whenever they came here, they snatched everything and they what? Passed it to there. Okay? That's the difference. Then what? The term can also be used to describe the concurrent project to reclaim and rethink the history and agency of people subordinated under various form of imperialism. Postcolonialism signals a possible future of overcoming colonialism. So postcolonialism, what is its intention? How to overcome, how you can save your own identity. It helps you, yet new forms of domination or subordination can come in the wake of such changes, including new forms of global empire. In which way? You have seen, under the name of globalization, they try to control us. Under the name of free open market, in free open market, we cannot compete with them, as they have the huge business, huge capital. We cannot compete with them. But this is the new dimension. You think that yes, if we open the border, easily we can import them and we can use their products. But what about your products? Nowadays, as a result, we have seen that people are not showing their interest to produce what? Crops, paddy. They are not trying to to familiarize as a farmer. Because of that, this is the new information. Then another one is what? Postcolonialism should not be confused with the claim that the world we live in now is actually devoid of colonialism. Next one is, the term postcolonialism is also sometimes used to refer to the struggle of indigenous peoples in many parts of the world in the early 20th century. Indigenous people. What does it mean then? Adivasi যেটাকে আমরা বলছি, নি গোষ্ঠী যেটাকে আমরা বলছি. For example, Southern, Khashia, they're living here. They have no They cannot read their own language. They cannot write their own language. What does it mean that? It means of what? They are losing their own identity. As a result, the government took this government took this step 8 years back, publishing number of books in different indigenous people's language. Okay, now they can read, they can write, they can exchange their own language. It is beneficiary for them as well to keep their. Another way, rise and essence of post-colonialism. We must know the historical background, otherwise we cannot understand when it was started. Post-colonialism, one of the most influential chain of thought that quickly spread to the East, emerged in the late 20th century in the West. Where it was started? It was also started in Western countries. It was emerged when? Late 20th century. You know that. The Western countries conquered one after another countries until the first half of the 20th century. But after the First World War, what's happened? The world vigorously was shaped, and the people started thinking in a different way. And what's happened? They have established their own nationalism in their own country. As a result, what happens? All the people started non-cooperating to the Western countries. As a result, what's happened? One after another country is getting independent. In 1970s, we have seen that most of the colonized countries got their independence, including India as well. Okay. And who are the people who started thinking age? Edward W. Said, Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, she is still now alive. Then Edward Said has written 33 books, and I may have mentioned in details about him in the last class. Okay. Orientalism is his first book. Next one is Culture and Imperialism, and he has written also the task of the intellectuals and the question of Philistine, etc., etc. Okay. Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, she is actually West Bengal's lady, but she is a teacher of University of the USA, and one of the essay she has written that is remarkable, that the title of the essay is Can the Subaltern Speak? In Bangla we say that দলিত কি কথা বলতে পারে? I mean support. We are the subaltern. We are the marginalized people. We have no voice. Why? At the very first, these two people try to show that in we know that as he has mentioned that Karl Marx, I think all of you have heard his name, yeah. We claim frequently that he's a man who worked for what? Human rights, human equality, in economics, in everywhere, but it is failed. He struggled only for the Western people. He didn't struggle for the Eastern people. In his book, he mentioned that the Eastern, I mean, sir, we. He said directly, quote and unquote, the Eastern people cannot present themselves, but they can be presented. What does it mean? That we cannot present ourselves. We have no voice. We cannot, what? Language. So, the Western people must come here and they must represent us. What does it mean that? It's another tendency of colonialism. Okay? Another writer who is Homi K. Baba are its representative. These three people actually started a movement that called is Postcolonialism. Nowadays, all over the world, a number of people indulging this theory and they are trying to people. Aziz Ahmed, he is also an Indian actually. He is also living in the UK. From the point of view of historical background, postcolonialism has three what? Foundations. What are they? First, the flourish of the national liberation movement after the Second World War. I already mentioned that it started after the First World War, but it got successful or succeed when just after the Second World War. And second, the self-identity of national culture. Self-identity, whenever you got the independent, number of people try to establish their own identity, national identity, cultural identity. Third one, total reflection of modernity. Total reflection of the modernity. It is also another wave of the post-colonialism. Modernity, you cannot, he has already mentioned that, to communicate someone else, we need to accept a language. We need to exchange something else. You cannot avoid it nowadays. Next one, okay, I will leave it just now. The rise of postcolonialism first relates closely to the flourish of the national liberation movement after the Second World War. After the Second World War, large number of colonial countries and semi-colonial countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America transformed into self-governing countries. After their independence, these countries had to develop a national economy and revealed their national culture. They had to reverse history. Reverse the reverse history. Can anyone explain this term? After the independence, the independent country tries to reverse their reverse history. What does it mean that? I have already mentioned, please. Can anyone mention, please? What does it mean that? It's very simple. No, and no. Two terms you must remember. First of all, I have mentioned that who has written our history? The Western people. I mean support. Once upon we had the history. They reversed it and they wrote it. Okay? After getting the independence, the independent countries tries to develop their what? Reverse history. I mean they what? Work on their and they changed it. That is called a what? Reverse the reverse history. Which one reverse? As they have written. Which one they have written? That is called the reverse history, and we have tried to reverse it as well. Okay? And reveal the what? Contorted culture through which they created a new cultural what? Modality. Next one. So these countries had not only to fight against Western cultural hegemony. I have already mentioned that the terms of hegemony. What does it mean by hegemony? This is, I think you have heard the name, the term hypnotize. Such a way they are trying to learn us that the Western people, Western culture, they are superior to us, and we are trying to what? Accept it without any reason, without any what? Justification. That's why after getting these people, the critic says that these countries had not only fought against the Western cultural hegemony and cultural colonialism, but also they also worked in another way, but they also had to use the fine elements in Western culture as reference. So one of you may have mentioned that, sir, we should compare it. Yes, they have also accepted this what? The acceptable thing, the fine things, fine elements, you can accept. But it should be what? It cannot destroy you, hamper your own identity. Another is what? To synchronize Eastern and the Western culture while fighting against Western culture. These countries had to tactfully deal with the relationship between nationalism and new colonialism. Nationalism and new colonialism. New colonialism, I have mentioned that after the colonialism, these Western countries applied such a what? Strategy to control the others, market, culture, etc., etc. So that's why they try to what? This post-colonialism always tries to what? To segmentize. কি করার জন্য চেষ্টা করছে? Nationalism and between nationalism and non-colonization. They had to realize the importance of nationalism in the process of non-colonialism and prevent parochial nationalism, especially the train of cultural fundamentalism. Parochial. What does it mean by parochial? The relationship between India and Bangladesh, sometimes we mentioned that India likes a dadagiri. They're trying to control us. Parochial, what does it mean? What? Powerful or something else, so that they can control us, okay?